Hi, this is Andrew Twidwell, owner of ABT Plumbing, Electric, Heat, and Air. Once again with the show You Got This. It's a show of DIY do's and don'ts. And I am working virtually. I'm working from home again. And I've got Rosalie, our producer, working from home as well. And hi, Rosalie.
Hi, Andrew. I see you,
Yeah,
right? We're just not in the same room.
we're just not
You're
the
actually
same.
here.
We're not in the same county. We're in the same state, so that's good. But
That's a
yeah,
start.
but that's not saying much when you're talking about California, considering between the difference between NorCal and SoCal. Yeah, quite a big difference.
I
We're
mean,
actually it
to
used to be
tell
what?
on myself, Andrew. Well, to tell on myself, I can get from Southern California to Northern California in about 5 hours.
Right.
Google Maps will tell you 6 to 7, but you know,
And for me, it takes me 2 days. So when I'm driving the truck with the
that's true.
trailer.
I'm not hauling a trailer. I'm just like point A to point B. I'm not sightseeing. I got someplace to go.
Right.
But yeah, no, it's really wintry actually right now down here. So I think you guys might have some winter weather on your way too. A little last bit of
No,
weather
it's looking
maybe this
good.
weekend, possibly.
We're looking good so far. At least last I checked. I mean, it's
Okay.
changing every day, but last I checked, we're not going to get
Yeah.
anything out of the
Oh,
storm. So
good. Because, Easter's coming up this weekend and there'll be little
right,
kids trying to find Easter eggs.
right, right, and we're kind of both out of that realm of doing the Easter thing. Although I've got plans to meet with the family for Easter brunch that we still get together. Even though there's no more kids doing Easter eggs. Although I should correct that. 2 years ago, we had I guess what the youngest was 15 and the oldest was 27 looking for eggs. So yeah, all the cousins and nieces and nephews. So yeah.
Well, I mean, I will be celebrating Easter, but just not in the traditional sense, I guess. We have a cocktail soiree where we're going to
Nice.
try to outdo each other. So we have a little thing going on, but it's always,
Little day
celebrate
drinking.
every holiday. Celebrate every holiday, celebrate everything.
Yeah. So yeah, looking forward to Easter and yeah, this change in the season is nice. These longer days are pretty awesome. Totally digging that. How about yourself? I mean, I'm getting outside and taking the dog for a walk. I take the dog for a walk every night at 8 o'clock, and I've been pushing it back a little bit. The last walk, right? Take him outside and pushing it back to like 6:45 because it's still just a little bit light out. It's so nice. Loving that.
Well, so I have a unique situation. You may recall the coyote. I'm like a den of coyotes live like
Right.
right here. And so I've been trying to get them to put up like a 10-foot cyclone fence to make it a little more challenging for the
Right.
coyotes. And I went out there the other night and I was like, oh my gosh, like I was so excited. They're actually putting in the fence post to get 10-foot
Saw that. Yeah.
coyote barrier.
Yeah.
So
That's awesome.
that's my big thing.
Yeah, and then I mean, speaking of animals and attacking people, there was somebody in Georgetown. Those two kids that one of them actually teenagers. One of them died from a mountain lion. Did you read about that one?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
brutal.
did. Mountain lions are the zoo. Remember, I used to work at a zoo, so the
Yeah,
zoo is going to Channel 3 right now. Mountain lions are a lot more dangerous to humans than a coyote is, even
right.
coyote packs, because you can easily scare coyotes. They are skittish, even when they're kind of in hunt mode.
Yeah,
A mountain lion you don't want to come
right.
up against because you're talking about a baby tiger.
Yeah,
It's very different prey drive,
yeah,
and it is not a stable animal to come up against.
yeah, yeah, yeah. That was gnarly. But anyway, so what are we talking about today? So we had this list last week that we were talking about how to DIY kind of stuff, how to avoid clogs, how to avoid water damage, that sort of thing. So we thought we'd just kind of continue on that, right? Because that's a good list, and we didn't even come close to finishing it. I'm just going to start it off with the first question, just because it's easy for me. Just start that since I'm already talking. But the first one was, and we kind of answered this last week, but I thought I'd answer it again for people who didn't maybe not maybe did not hear it, because I think it's really important. And that is, how do I prevent water damage? One of the things that most people don't realize is that water damage does more damage to homes than fire in terms of the insurance policies. So, I mean, if you've ever dropped a gallon of milk, you can kind of, get a visual of how big of a puddle that makes, right? And then if you have a broken half-inch line inside your house, that can produce anywhere from 8 to 10 gallons per minute. And it generally takes us, 5 to 10 minutes to find the valve to turn the water off. So you're talking about 80 to, 100 and 200 gallons of water pretty quick. And if you're not home, that's where it really gets bad. And we talked a little bit about how fast the damage can occur inside of a home. We've all have friends who've had water damage in their home that, they may come home from a vacation or even just a night out. And then if the water damage company doesn't come out within 24 hours, mold starts to take growth. And you have to remove everything from the walls about 4 feet down. And then anything that's on the floor that's been wet will also start to grow mold, because we have mold spores around us all the time. And all it takes is a nice wet environment for them to grow. So, it can do a lot of damage really fast and really expensive damage, because wherever that water touched, and if it's sat for more than 24 hours, it literally goes in a dumpster. So, that antique piano that you've got in the dining room, or, whatever the case may be, all that's the couch, the TVs, all that stuff just goes right in the dumpster. So you're talking about tens, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of damage really fast. So a couple ways to avoid it is, one of the main things is, keep an eye to, every once in a while, go around the house and look for any potential leaks. If you start to see signs of leaks, like some calcification, where you'll see some like greening around the pipe or greening around a connection, especially like around a water heater or something, where the water flux ties into the water heater. If you see any kind of green oxidation there, that's literally water coming out of the pipe and forming its own plug, but it's a broken pipe, right? So you want to fix that, replace that water flux. If you see any iron rust if you have old galvanized pipes, you got to replace them, right? That's literally just a water line that's just waiting to leak. The other thing that we really want to look at is your washing machine hoses. Those are like one of the main causes of water damage. If you've got rubber hoses attached to your washing machine, those are supposed to be turned off, and they're supposed to be replaced every 5 years. They're not designed to be left under pressure. So replace those with a stainless steel, webbed stainless steel flex line. You can buy those at B&C or Hills Flat, A to Z. Any of the hardware stores have them. And I don't know about you, but my homeowner's deductible is over $1,000, and I know those hoses are way under $1,000. So if you've got them, install those. And they have a life expectancy also of about 5 to 10 years, depending on the manufacturer. So take a look at that. If you've got washing machine hoses, look at the date stamp on it. Look at, it says right on the hose. Anyway, but another thing that we're seeing in our industry is homeowners insurance policies. If you're out to get a new homeowners insurance policy, they're requiring you to install a automatic water shutoff. So in the event that there is a high flow of water or a leak on the ground, it shuts the water off to the house. And that's something that I've been a proponent of for 35 years. We're installing them, or we installed a couple back in the early 90s, but it was really hard to educate our customers on how the benefits of having one of these things installed. Now we're having insurance companies mandating it and giving you a discount when you do. So even you may want to call your homeowner's insurance policy holder and say, hey, what happens if I install one of these things? What kind of savings could I be looking at? And what we're seeing is for the installation of one of these valves, you can see a payback within a few years, under 5 years. So not bad investment, not a bad return on your investment. And especially in the fact that, if a flood happens, you're out way more than the amount of money that thing cost. So because it happened, you're not only talking about dollar amounts for your deductible, but you're also talking about potentially moving out of your home and the disruption of your life. And if anybody has experience water damage, I mean, you're talking about putting these massive fans all through your house, and those things are on 24/7. And a dehumidifier, they're really loud, so it's a major disruption in your life. So yeah, highly, highly recommend those things. I'm going to give you a phone number, 530-230-9092, 530-230-9092. Give us a call. We can come out and take a look and see what kind of options we can help you, or what kind of options you have about not having to go through that. We also do, $29 or $49 water heat or plumbing inspection. So we can look at your water heater, flush your tankless water heater, look at all the plumbing underneath your house, and make sure that you don't have any potential leaks or potential flooding issues that are going to come down the line. Okay, so enough of that. So let's go on to the next one. What was our next question?
Okay, so the next question was, wait for it. Are we starting at 5? How do I unclog my tub? That's where I think we were going.
Yeah, that's a good one. So how do I unplug my tub? So there's a couple things. One of the easiest ones is some of the tubs have what's called a trip lever stopper. So there's that lever on the overflow that you push up, and it pushes a plunger down and stops the water. I can't tell you how many times I've gone up to people's homes for a slow drain, and all it is that when the plumber installed that plunger, they may not have locked it in with a lock nut, so that it comes under, it's not adjusted correctly anymore, and it impedes the flow of water. And sometimes it's literally just a matter of taking those 2 screws out, pulling the plunger out, adjusting it, reinstalling it, and the problem is fixed. So if you do have one of those trip lever wastes, they're not very common in Nevada County or Placer County. They're really common in the Bay Area. But if you do have one of those, that'd be the first thing I check. The second thing I would do is go out and buy one of the Zip-Its. We talk about these things pretty much every 5th show or something. You can go to any hardware store. They're like $5, and it's just literally a piece of plastic with some little barbs on them. It looks kind of like a sawtooth shark nose, right? With the little nubs coming off the side, and just shove that thing into the drain. And the majority of times, the majority of the times, it's simply a clog right within the first foot, right in the first 12 inches of the drain, and it's just catching hair. And you can solve that problem right there. If that doesn't solve it, then you're going to need to use a snake. And the way to clear a tub is you literally pull the overflow cover off, and you run it down the overflow cover. Don't try going through the drain, because the drain has a sharp 90 degree turn right at the beginning, and then a 90 degree turn within the first 6 inches. So it's difficult, if not impossible, to get a snake down there. So we go down through the overflow and then go through the P-trap. It is a major pain in the patootie to try doing it with a hand snake. We don't use hand snakes, but that's generally what a homeowner has. Give it a shot. If you've got the muscle ability and the wherewithal to go for it, give it a shot. Again, 9 times out of 10, those clogs are pretty close to the fixture. You're usually generally talking within the first couple feet of the fixture that the clog is occurring. But we use a much larger piece of equipment. They're closer to like $1,500. I wouldn't recommend a homeowner buying them, because you're really not going to save much money by buying one of those things, unless you're clogging your sink and drains, multiple times a year, because it's just cheaper to hire somebody to come out and take
every week.
Yeah. If it's every week, first start with that Zip-It, right? That's going to solve your problem, because 9 times out of 10, you've got long hair. I can't remember if Hayden still has long hair or not. So that I have that problem at our house. Betty has long hair, so it's just a matter.
We know it's not coming from you. I can see you. It's not coming from you.
My hair the longest is like 2 inches, so it doesn't really clog drains. But hair clogs drains. All right, so what's our next one?
So we're going to switch over to my favorite, because I just recently got a new garbage disposal installed. But if my garbage disposal stopped working, how could I fix it?
So if your disposer, like you go and flip the switch and it's not working, one of the first places to look one of the first things to do is there's a circuit breaker that's installed on the disposer on the bottom of it. It's a little red button. You can climb underneath your house, or excuse me, climb underneath your sink and look up underneath your disposer, and you'll see a little red button. I've done it so many times I don't have to get under there. I know where it is. It's generally close to the center of the disposer, about an inch off center. So you can kind of feel around in there and just kind of trip it. But what usually trips that breaker is it's a safety device, electric safety device to turn the motor off so it doesn't fry. So the reason it's there is most of the time it's because the disposer itself has become jammed. So something has lodged itself on the wall, between the wall and the tooth of the disposer, and doesn't allow the motor to turn any longer. So it turns the motor off because you don't want the windings on the motor to just vaporize, right? Or get heat up and melt, and then it's toast. So try first, if it's just making like a humming sound, it's jammed. If it's not making a humming sound anymore, try resetting it and see if it spins. If it doesn't spin, the best thing to do, this is something we teach our guys to do, is pull the disposer down, drop the disposer, unplug it, unhook at the plumbing, drop the disposer off the basket, turn it upside down, try to knock out whatever's in there. Take a flashlight, get inside, take a look around, see what's jamming it up. Most of the time you can get the stuff out with they have unjamming tools, or either a plunger handle or a broom handle, because you really just got to twist it around a little bit and it'll usually free it up. It's kind of one of those higher level DIY things, because I would recommend pulling the disposer. But anyway, that's one way to do it. And if you've gone that far, and if the disposer is older than like 10 years old, you may as well just pick a new one up and put a new one in if you've gotten that far.
So so when I lived on Banner Mountain,
yeah,
and I know you're still friends with my former landlord, so maybe don't tell him this. So found out, so my disposal.
You don't own the house anymore.
I know, right? He's not mad at me anymore. It's too many years gone. But so I found out that Zara was putting coffee grounds when she was done making coffee. I didn't teach her this. The garbage was right there, but right. She would, I think to keep the dog from getting the coffee grounds, because you remember Theo, like that big old head. So she would put him in the disposal. All the grounds into the drain. And I did not know that. And so one day I went to, flip it, problem. I tried your reset issue. That didn't help. So I took an old handle and I started messing with the teeth. And when it actually kind of caught the stuff that came, it was like a bad movie. It was like the stuff that came out of that when I started flowing water through it was so disgusting. And I was like, this is all because of coffee grounds. I was like, what's wrong with you? So there was a life lesson taught that day. But I used to have that little handle for the separate handle, didn't use it for anything else. It wasn't a plunger. It didn't go in the toilet. You know how I am about that. Very separate. But I used to have a handle for my garbage disposal.
And you can free it. And and speaking of coffee grounds, I've seen that happen a lot. And actually, when I first moved to the area, I was working for Navo and Sons and working for the Roto-Rooter division on that. And Chris was talking about, a coffee drinker when you're pumping a tank, because a lot of times they'll dump the coffee grounds. They don't dissolve. I mean, it's like wood, right? It does not degrade very quickly. I mean, it could take years or decades for that to degrade. So if you're in a septic system, which you were, you definitely want to be pushing that stuff into the septic tank, because you'll get a nice big pile of coffee. You can imagine, even if it's just a third of a cup or whatever, or a quarter of a cup every day, it just starts to build, because you're doing it I don't know about you, but I know about you. Yeah. We drink coffee every day, right? So, I third of a cup every day into the coffee maker. So if you got a septic system, don't put that down there. You can wash off. I'm using a reusable filter now. I got water in our old coffee maker that was 2 years old and had to buy a new one, and it came with a filter, right? And just dump the majority of it into the garbage can, and then rinse off what's left. And you're not going to have that much, but when you're dumping a quarter to a half a cup of coffee down every day down the drain, it piles up quick.
Kids, they talk about how much kids cost you, but they don't figure in these things. They talk about college and this and that and clothes and food. And I'm like, and don't forget home repairs because they're right up there. Um,
Yeah.
let's
Well,
switch gears really
it's
quickly though.
funny. We had one friend. They're like, why does our car have scratches on it? And then they were outside one day, and their now 19-year-old son was riding his scooter in between the cars and riding and rubbing the handles against the cars.
I don't.
He was keying the car with his scooter every day.
That's a bit much. Yeah. I mean, you just never know what you're going to get with kids. Like, I don't know. It's, I mean, I love it, but my God, I spent a lot of money on fixing what my kids broke. So I know you did too.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Still.
So we have time for a couple more, but did you want to go into, what to do about a leaking faucet?
Yeah. So what to do about a leaking faucet? So, generally speaking, these days, most faucets have cartridges. They don't have stems any longer, rising stems with washers or anything. Um, so it's a matter of replacing the cartridge. So figure out how to take the handle off, figure out how to take the cartridge out, take the cartridge to the hardware store, get the identical matching cartridge for it, and reinstall it. I say it sounds relatively easy, and the majority of the time it is. But sometimes you run into problems where you've got faucets that don't have names stamped on them. And so it could be, I can't even remember some of the names of the hardware brands, but you're not going to find parts for those. It's got to have like a name brand on it. And unfortunately, some of the name brands, if you buy it from a big store like the orange store or the blue store, big box hardware stores, they actually get products with names on them, but they put their own guts into them, so you won't be able to find it unless you go to those stores. Even if you buy like a Moen or a Delta from some of the stores, they may not have a Moen or Delta gut inside of them. They may have a Black & Decker or something else. Those guys can actually say, I want a product that has this parts in it. I want your name on it, and I want it to be priced at X amount, and they'll manufacture it for those guys because they sell so much. Unlike us, we sell only name brand stuff that you can get parts for. But anyway, that's a whole other story. Yeah, let's do number 10 because I like that one, and we've got time. Should I install a tankless hot water heater? Tankless hot water heaters are a great idea. They last about 20 years, which is twice as long as a regular water heater. They do take a little bit more maintenance. You need to flush them every year. But that is something that a person can do at home. You should have it inspected from a plumber probably about every 3 to 5 years just to make sure everything's working correctly, because they are a pretty big investment. But you have endless hot water. So if you've got a situation where you've got a giant tub that you fill up, once every week or something like that, and you've got a 100-gallon water heater so you can fill up this giant tub, put a tankless in. You're going to save a ton of money. It'll pay for itself within a couple of years. If you've got a household of kids and you want to have endless hot water, because you can, as long as you back your shower up, you can take one shower after another all day long, and you're not going to run out of hot water. They're great. So there's a lot of benefits to them. Some of the negatives are some of the things I just said. They are a little bit more finicky. They do require some maintenance, and they generally are more expensive to install because, unless you've already got a tankless hot water heater, we're running a new gas line because it needs a lot of fuel, and you need to put an electrical line in it. Anyway, with all that, if you need any plumbing, electrical, heating, or air help, you can reach us at 530-230-9092, 230-9092. You can find us on the web at abtplumbing.com. You can also, we still have these specials going on, $49 for a water heater flush plumbing inspection, $49 electrical whole house inspection, $49 HVAC, both heating and air inspection, and a $97 drain cleaning. If we don't clear it, it's free as long as it's a resident and accessible clean out. Once again, 530-230-9092. Thanks for listening, and we'll catch you next week. Bye.